the sex slave industry that you've heard so much about, Rob Morris, 1146. What is it that makes you weep, not cry, not feel bad? Listen, I feel bad about when I watch that dog commercial, but I just change the channel after about 3 seconds. In fact, I hear, whoa, and I run. But I know there's a lot of people where that genuinely makes them weep. That doesn't make me weep. I say, man, that sucks, and I go into another room. But there are things that make me weep that don't make you weep. And this is what I'm talking about. What is it that makes you weep? Because there are things that Jesus Christ has put inside of you to accomplish that He hasn't put inside of me. And He hasn't put inside who's next to you. But those kind of things, they'll make you weep. They'll make you stay up at night. You can't sleep because you're thinking about it. And you think, man, this situation is so wrong. I feel so terrible for this person. What can I do? What is it that makes you weep? Maybe it's sexual abuse and sex abuse victims that you know. Maybe even in your crew. Does it make you weep? Maybe you say, man, I want to go for counseling, or I want to learn how I can help these people, even as a career. Maybe it's homeless people, where you see this person, and it just makes you weep. Maybe it is puppies, especially if you're a girl, you know? It just makes you weep. Oh, that poor puppy needs water, you know? Maybe it's the political world. That's not for me. It makes me angry. I hate these people. But maybe for you, you see this and you say, man, this is so messed up. I want to help in this situation. What is it for you? Hey, maybe it's people without a Savior. What is it for you? But let me ask you this. If you never weep, is your heart really soft, or is it open to the things of God? If nothing makes you weep, do you really believe in anything? Because when you really believe in something, I'm telling you, you'll weep about it. I remember one time I was on the plane with Pastor Drew, and I was just talking about the church. And I was talking about the beauty of the church. Let me tell you, I love the church. I feel like my dad does sermon series on the church, like every other sermon series is a sermon series on the church. I know I got that from him. I love the church. I remember I was talking about the church on a plane with Pastor Jude for 10 minutes or whatever, and all of a sudden he kind of stopped responding, and I kept talking about the church. I remember I looked up at him, and he was weeping. I mean, well, maybe not weeping. He was definitely crying, you know. But the tears were falling from his face, and he was saying, Jordan, he said, the way you love the church is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I want to love the church, even the way you love the church. And I'm just talking about the church. But here's a man who weeps over things. Why? Because his heart is soft. Can I ask you, when's the last time you cried in worship? I'm not saying you have to be some guy that's like, oh, he's blubbering too much soy milk. Get off it, you know? But I am saying, when is the last time you had an experience with God? God so impacted your heart that you began to cry and you said, God, I want to do something here. I want to change this thing. This is where we find Nehemiah. He's weeping over the walls because it means so much to him. Listen, when I was in Boston one day, I was hanging out with Nate. We were in Boston, and by accident, I saw a plaque. And it had a Bible on it, so it caught my eye. So they kept walking, but I stopped and I looked, and it said, here on this very spot, D.L. Moody was saved when he went to go pick up a pair of shoes from his uncle's shop. And I'm telling you, for me it was like a holy moment. I know no one else, but for me it was a holy moment. You know why? D.L. Moody was one of the greatest evangelists, one of the greatest preachers that has ever walked the face of the planet. He was absolutely incredible. But he spoke terrible English, he had a 6th grade education level, and he could barely write. And on top of that, he was a bad speaker. But when he went over to London, England, he began preaching poorly. And thousands of people began to cry and weep in the middle of his sermons because they were so powerful. Thousands of people just began to get saved. Thousands, saved every single one. To the point where all the London pastors that had tiny churches were so jealous, saying, what does he have that we don't? That they went to go see him one day. They walked into the apartment, there was 3 pastors. And they walked into the apartment and they said, D.L. Moody, we want to know what's the secret. How do you do it? Because obviously it's not your oration abilities, because you're not funny and no one even understands you. Why are you so good? Tell us a secret. But you know what D.L. Moody said? He said, all right. He said, and I told the story before, he said, the first guy said, I want you to look out the window, I want you to tell me what you see. The first guy said, I see kids playing in a park. He said to the second pastor, I want you to look out the window, I want you to tell me what you see. And the second guy said, I see the exact same thing. The third guy was a little bit different. He said, actually, I see a couple over there, they're holding hands in there in love. He said, when I look out this window, I'm going to say the exact same quote because it's so powerful. He says, when I look out the window, I see countless thousands of souls that will one day spend eternity in hell if they do not find the Savior Jesus Christ. They turned around and they saw that he was weeping, and a puddle of tears were in that apartment. So when I look out this window, I see countless souls that will go to hell if they don't meet the Savior, Jesus Christ. It makes him weep. And out of that comes a cause. Comes a cause. If I don't do something, it will never get done. What makes you weep?